حور العين تناديني فدعيني أماه دعيني لتبكي دموعك يا أمي عن دربي لا لن تثنيني حور العين تناديني فدعيني أماه دعيني لتبكي دموعك يا أمي عن دربي لا لن تثنيني.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let's make dua, inshallah. We start. Allahumma ameen. Allahumma tassalam wa minka assalam tabarakta ya dhal jalali wal ikram. Allahumma salli ala sayyidina wa shafi'ina wa habibina Maulana Muhammad wa barik wa sallam. Allahumma rabbana zidna ilman nafi'a wa amala mutaqabbala wa rizqan wasi wa shifa'a min kulli da. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasana wa fil akhirati hasana wa qina adhaban nar. فسبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Shall we continue our topic, Islam and Muslims in the modern world and challenges faced by youths in the modern societies. Our topic we have continued for the last couple of weeks on is based on the mental challenge and depression and isolation and so on. These issues that relate to our situation of depression amongst our youths, and in particular, it's not just an isolated situation with Muslims alone, but depression deals, as we say, with every human being. This is a factor that affects and challenges us and puts us in a position that we get anxiety and so much things because of the fact that we deal with issues. Muslims, non-Muslims, depression, anxiety, and all of these factors play and weigh heavy in our lives. As the perspective for youths in particular, since this topic deals with the youths and the challenges, we will look at a number of factors that affect our youths, and amongst them we mentioned before, and I'm not going to go into detail of them. It's just that we looked at, as parents, how do we direct our youths and our children, that we don't put them in the direction of being faced with pressure and difficulties and challenges in the world today. Let's try to, as much as possible, ease that burden by letting them understand their purpose and focus, and also teach our children the Islamic benefits and outcome of how to treat with this particular issue of depression and loneliness and anxiety. Also, we looked at the aspect where, as teens and the teen years and growing up as young people, there's also that challenge for them that they want their own personal space and that type of thing, and that's also a challenge as well. Then we look at the dietary aspect of the food, and we see that the food also affect their mental health and the condition that they are in. And tonight, what we are going to look at is a very important aspect of their mental health and depression. One of the aspects is, here again, along with all the wonderful technological advanced modern societies today, amongst these things in societies come the number one, or come a number of negative ones, and things such as alcohol and drugs contribute greatly to the prevalence of mental illness. On page 55 it tells us that it contributes to the mental illness, and we know this for a fact. Just recently we had a case in Trinidad with the man with the bus. He was perfectly normal, everything normal, and by the time he take one drink of alcohol, the whole mental structure of this man's mind changed, and he came into something body different. By just consuming this alcohol, his whole mental structure changed. Now, that is just a minor case, right? That's a minor case, even though it was major news in Trinidad, breaking news. But that is just one out of many cases. And we talk about hundreds and thousands and millions of cases in the world just because of the use of alcohol and the effects of alcohol. But in particular now, how does it affect our youths? And we have seen out of the abuse of alcohol and drugs in our own Muslim community that there are youths who have gone off by using it. We see youths like that. We know youths like that. It's not like we don't know who they are. And we know the things that they would do. Some of them would even sell their parents' property, they will sell valuables of the children, because of the need and the situation that they're in. How does this lead to depression? The fact is, how could alcohol lead to depression? The fact that it could lead to depression is that when a person fall prey to this sickness or this disease and the attracted situation and the desire to have these drugs and these alcohol at any rate to utilize it, it puts that person in a position that if they don't have it, what do you think is going to happen to them? How they get? They become anxious. They become like they can't sit down properly. They always want to move. So anxiety put them in a position like that. And really and truly, some of them really end up in the ward one or the madhouse, or you say, for a couple of days before they can actually resuscitate and come back at all times. Some of them is sent to rehab centers because it affects their mental structure. Do you think why do you think we're sending them there for? To rest, to sleep? It's because their mental what? Capacity has been infringed. It has been affected. It causes a problem on them. And hence, since this happens, what is going to be taking place? We have to find a way to what? Bring them back and climatize them again back to society. So the drugs lead to depression. It leads to anxiety. It leads to further than that. Some people under the influence of these drugs actually kill themselves because they don't know how to function when they are like that. So it leads their mind to thinking so many different things. And it causes accidents, it causes danger to other people's lives as well. So we're not just going to expound on this because this is one of the things we had dealt with earlier, but we just want to identify that the use of drugs affects the mind. And it causes depression and it causes anxiety. And we had known of that that I've mentioned previously on the topic when we were talking about the aspect of youth and challenges on the aspect of drugs. And we had mentioned يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الْخَمْرِ وَالْمَيْسَرِ قُلْ فِيهَا. In it mentioned that the nafa' or the an'am or ithmuhu kabirun wa manafi'u nasu wa ithmuha akbaru minan naf'iha. That the ayat of Quran mentioned in Surah Al-Baqarah verse 219 tells us that they ask you concerning khamar, wine, and maisar. Say to them, O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that in it, ithmu, it's bad, it's sins, it's wrong, is greater than its benefit to mankind. Wa ithmuha akbaru min naf'iha. That its ithm and its sin and its wrong and its harm is far outweighing the benefit of it. And we see in society that is in effect what is happening in our society. Definitely, what affects our mind actually dictates our behavior, and that is quite true because whatever in your mind is like you actually transforming the body to make a particular action or a thought. So people can be distracted by their thinking and they can also make that effect be seen on their physical body. So there is a correlation because the mind is actually placed at the highest position. You know that? The brain is placed at the highest position in the body. The feet is where? At the lowest position. Each one have a greater benefit. If you take out a man's skull, you think he'll live? If you take off his foot, he still have a chance to live, right? But you take off his brain, gone. That's it. It tells how valuable the mind is and the brain is. And they have positions in the body that is so secure. Even the heart is secure the most, right? It's secure in that position because it is absolutely vital. It's in cage. It is burglar proof with our chest because it has a very, very important and valuable organ that serves the entire body. Even the brain gets benefit from the heart. And so there's a neurological connection between the mind to the to the heart. So all of this tells us that mental illness, at the root of it, is that if you affect your body by drugs, it affects the mind. It will have an effect on the mind. And people know who would consume alcohol and you use drugs, when your mind becomes befogged. In other words, you really can't think straight, you can't balance anymore. You know, if somebody can spin you around, how your mind just get shaped up and shake up and you can't stand up straight after that. Same thing, drugs, alcohol does the same thing to the mind, but it has a worse effect than just even spinning around because that leads to depression and mental stress and anxiety. These are all connected to the use of this particular thing. So multiple studies have shown that there is a two-way link between these issues with the possibility of mental illness leading to substance abuse and vice versa. So a person starts to get sick in their mind and they feel that this is the only thing that they have to survive on. Like today the entire world has gone sick on the use of what? Marijuana or cannabis, because today everybody wants to become the world leading producer. And one of the biggest countries in the world wants to produce this is which? Canada. They want to become the leading provider for cannabis medical purposes benefit. All right, or whatever oils and whatever they can get out of cannabis to prove that it could benefit people. Now, the reason for saying this is that you could tell that drugs and the influence of drugs has a great impact in society. And even in Trinidad, you know what drugs we finding for the last couple of weeks and months going by, you could tell you how much drugs really in Trinidad, you might have so much drugs in Trinidad, you can't believe how much drugs it have in Trinidad, right? So illegal use of drugs is affecting our society. So the behavior you see in society today, from all these killings and rape and, so much things are happening around us. What is the effect of it? Depression, anxiety, and the play out of these things lead to what we are seeing in our society today. So drugs, in relationship to our youths, have an effect. We ask ourselves what the Quran tells us is very important to enrich the lives of our youth, so especially our young boys and girls in the environment that they face today. They go to school in drugs, and we discussed that before. Their friends on the street, drugs. You go to work, some fellas taking a break just to take a little pull, a drug, a little drugs on the side, just to work out the day. So they can't finish the day except taking a what? A little sniff. And ask yourself what we really leading ourselves to. And that is the effect and dangers that play a part in our society that we have to curb in our Muslim community. And we can't say and tell ourselves that, that doesn't affect us. It does affect us. So that basically is a short aspect of what we talk about drugs and depression. And more now we want to speak about is the other important aspect and area in our study of this particular subject of depression. The aspect of another major consideration in modern societies is the exposure that comes from internet and cyberbullying. Internet and cyberbullying is an issue that has been in the headlines for several years now and has been strongly linked to mental illness in young people. The internet opens up to being harassed at any time, which is a problem by itself. Today, we discussed part of this before, but now we're going to discuss it in relationship to what? Mental bullying, from mental depression, and the aspect of it is cyberbullying on the internet. A bully long time would be someone who is what? A badger and a big man, everybody afraid because they can't fight with him, because if you walk up to them, what? You frighten, you ready to run away. So if he tell you, give me your lunch, what are you going to say? Hand him the lunch one time. If he asks you for $10 or $5, you're paying all that money one time because you're afraid what? Licks go pass. So because, as we normally say, you're definitely going to beat you up. So the bully of that time would have been, or in that particular nature, is a physical bully, one who is really big and bad and brave. But the bully behind the cyber bullying in the internet could be a little small fry, a little boy, a little person, your own child. And there are cases like that where a young girl or a young boy, the mother and father, going on the internet, mother and father not so much, but they don't like their mother so much and so much and father so much and so much in a particular area, and they give them cyberbullying, so they threaten them with all kind of different things and this kind of, and the parents become fearful and scared, right? But the little children figure out how to what? Keep them in check. But cyberbullying today is a different thing in the world today. The fact is that in the countries that lead up to cyberbullying in the world today, is China being number one, then Singapore, and India being third, right, in the world in cyberbullying. So you want to know how a country like India could be like that, or these type of situations, and really and truly, how does cyberbullying really come into existence and affects your mind? One a bully really affects you physically. If a child is afraid of a particular student in school who is a bully, what do you think is the effect of that child when you tell him to go to school the next morning? You get in belly pain. You get in a fever. And he finds an excuse not to go to school every day. Out of what? Fear. That child coming home with fear, depressed, feeling afraid to go to school because there is somebody waiting there to abuse me, to take advantage of me. So this child comes with a mental depression and worry that sometimes the parent wouldn't even know. Would not even know. So bullying physically affects a child even in going to school. And sometimes if the teachers in the school ignore this child may not even want to see that class and may put a different level of thinking against the teacher and towards the school and to the entire classroom. Because it seems as though nobody actually what? Likes me or like to protect me or save me or safeguard me. Maybe because the way I look, or maybe because I'm too small, or maybe because I may answer things not in the best manner possible, or some things that will lead to this person being bullied. And that is physical bullying. What about cyberbullying? Today, more than 54% of the world's population face that in some way or the other. Either by the phone and mental bullying. Many Muslims in the world, young men and women, they feel what? Depressed by the condition of the Muslim world today. By just looking at what? Activities and events found in the phone through these cyber systems of internet and YouTube and whatever you have that shows and portrays Islam as being so and so. So how do you think they'll feel? You think they feel excited about being Muslims? You feel they had a zeal to practice Islam? Or do you think they go with a depression and a state of being, down and sulking and that kind of thing? Because it affects them like that. And that is only a minor case. That is only minor. But there is a mental effect. Yeah, there is badgering like that. And there's bombardment like that. We call it bombardment. They actually bombard the religion and portray images and portray to be like, bad and evil and wicked. And once you see these things, and these things that are portrayed in the media, it actually brings a negative effect on an individual. And particularly if you have young children who are actually on the internet every day and actually roaming the web every day, they will see these things more frequent. And it will affect their thinking and their behavior and their attitude. And it will definitely put a negative attitude towards them and actually lead some of them to a depressed position when they hear the word Islam and Muslims. Right, so to deal with that is a very challenging situation for us. But that is a minor case, I'm saying. That is something small. That is something that only deals with their religion. And today we look, and even if you look at it, many parents and many children don't look at Islam as being significantly important in their lives because it doesn't contribute to their everyday well-being. So they don't take Islam seriously as they would take their secular education or they'll take their job or they'll take some sporting activity. And even sporting activities challenge as well today in our society. So they will take these things as being more important than the religion. So they won't really take importance to that, except that their person is more religiously inclined. They will feel the negative effects of it and they will be more depressed. And that's why sometimes looking at the news, sometimes you tell yourself, well, it's best to stay away from the news or better just stay away from the internet because less of that really means better for you. Right? Because less news, fake news, all kind of news you get, and everything affects the mind. So when you look at the contribution of what this really means is that technically this translates in reality that at least 1 million people every day, some part of the world, is affected by cyberbullying. At least 1 million people every day is affected from this. So what this translates to is that we have a society that is highly charged to react in a situation that you may not say that this could ever happen, but we don't know why. Look, recently we have 2 young boys being, buggered and abused. One of them being killed right there in Trinidad. They found him in Central there, killed a young boy, right? So, it is challenging for the parents to understand how this could have actually happened, right? And for the community to actually deal with this. But some of the contributing factors are, and especially when it comes to holidays, normally the police and the security forces will let you know and try to, through media, try to encourage parents, be careful of where your children go or who they are with and who their friends are. But more in particular is the internet and the phone and the cyber bullying that takes place on the internet. Somebody could be threatening your child and your child does not understand how to deal with that on the form of the cyber bullying. So they don't know what to do. So they fall prey to it. So they might eventually find themselves in a place that they don't really want to go, but there's so much of fear in them that they may have done something. First to begin, you tell them, I don't want you doing this on the internet, and I don't want you to go in this particular site, I don't want you doing this. And this is the site that you go on, and this person tries to threaten your child and say, I'm going to send a message for your what? Parents that you are on so and so site. If you don't do so and so and so. Who do you think the child fear now? The bully or the parents? And that is the real situation. That is the real fear that we have today with cyber bullying. That it is affecting and wreaking havoc on our society, right? So it goes to the point to tell us that this internet opens the door to bullying in a different relationship and expansion in a drastic way. One girl committed suicide, an 11-year-old child committed suicide. She on the internet, and her whole class bullied her. In other words, make her feel bad and embarrass and pressure her into thinking that she is not worthy enough of being in that class. And the poor girl ended up committing suicide at the age of 11. You ask yourself, what an 11-year-old child would be thinking to do that? Right? So the effects of this cyberbullying is it translates into the mind of children without even the parents having what this child is doing on this phone or the medium of whether it be a laptop or a iPad or some kind of thing that they're on, but they're receiving these types of threats and it's not known to the parents. So today's society, when it looked at our children, sometimes they're depressed, they're looking scared, they're looking silent. Don't leave your child in that condition or thinking to have fear. You say something to them, remember and recollect what you say to them in relationship to the internet. Because at times, they will be under the stress of bullying and cyberbullying and you don't know. You don't know what they're going to do next. Right? And it's through these systems, I mean, sometimes our young girls, they leave the home because somebody threatening X, Y, and Z. And if you don't come here, I'll kill your mother, and I'll kill your father, and I'll do this, and I'll do that. But you're on the internet. And you're getting this threat. You've been bullied into what? Actually leaving your home and going with this person. All these things happen in our society, and it's real. You know of cases where girls have been what? Killed because of that. Raped and killed. Right here in Trinidad. We are talking about far beyond Trinidad yet and other lands and so on, which these things are rampant on a daily basis. Right? Because what is the cause? Children in particular don't know how to deal with threats. And there are big people who do not know how to deal with threats either. For example, if someone threatens you physically, generally, if you feel you have the upper hand, what do you think you will do when he threatens you? Grab him and do what? One time you fix the up, right? Grab him in a fight and you finish the problem one time. But if you know you can't finish him or you can't fight him back, what you going to do? Run. Right? Or you'll get angry, you'll react and that type of thing. Now, that happens in road rage and fighting and all those different things and that different aspect. But we are talking about a situation here where you know that you will react and fight. Or you will either, if you really have good thinking, what would you do? You know, because it's easy to solve the problem by a fight because you feel like it's the way to go about it. So in the Quran we are told, you know, alaysa al-ihsana illa bil ihsan, and do not follow up and do not la tabi'u sayyabil ittabi'u sayyabil hasana. Follow up a bad with a good one. We don't fight a bad with a bad. We do a bad, we do something good to change the course. So, you know, many wars in the world. I mean, we talk about bullying, so we have to understand how this happens, you know. and the concept behind it. Wars in the world take place because of certain reasons. You know why we went to nuclear war? Why we went to nuclear war? Why fight a big war like that, with nuclear weapon? Nuclear weapon, actually, one of the bombs that went into Hiroshima actually destroyed so many millions of lives. Till today, they can't recover from it yet. From one nuclear bomb. And imagine how many countries in the world have such large nuclear bombs just waiting to what? Blow up our country. So what's going to happen if that happens? How many people will be annihilated and wipe out? Finish. And for years and years, you can never recover from that. If that does people. So what was in the thinking of the minds of those people who made those bombs? Who do you think they're really going to fight? Small people just like we and you, human beings. Who do you think you really get the bomb up? Do you think the leaders will? They kill all the poor people first. The people, the big cities, they blow up everything, they finish everything now for now. So what do you think is in their thinking to create such a destructive power behind a bomb to destroy so many people? It is just like bullying. It is bullying. Who has the stronger what? Weapons. They do what? Bully the rest of the world. Technically, that's what happened. In normal language, that is what they do. So, for example, a country that is fully equipped and armed will have a stronger chance of beating anybody. So that's why they'll take, I am the big what? We call them what? The big watch dog. The ones who actually take control. And that is the concept in the minds that is naturally narrowed down to a bully. So in an international and a global sense in the world, we have this political power and might of a bully to do what? Intimidate people, to lower people's self-esteem, that you cannot be bigger than us, or we, as we would say in our term. So internationally, there are bullies internationally that affects the mind and the psyche of poorer countries and weaker people. So they think to themselves that they have to what? Follow a particular line and trend and follow, this is what we have to do, we have no choice. So even we are saying that we are free, but there are still big bullies in the world in relation to what they say goes, rather than how we feel we should what actually adopt and live by. Now that doesn't mean that we are challenging the thing, or we are talking about the psyche, the thinking that leads to people to be depressed and challenged. The fact is that this is one of the things that in the bigger global thing. So in other words, when you put pressure on a country, for example, when a sanction go on a country, because who says to put a sanction on a country? Right? Who says to put a sanction on a country, and who suffers from a sanction? The poorer people don't get the goods and the services with the intention that they will actually be punishing the leaders of those countries to actually what? Abide to certain type of restriction or orders that were placed upon them that they should abide and follow. And if their leaders don't follow it, the entire country will what? Suffer. And that put people in depression and starvation and hunger, and so much things happen because of a larger picture of a bigger person trying to intimidate and control the lives of millions of people. Now, that is coming out of the realm because we have dictatorial leaders in the world that push that type of thinking. But leadership today in the world started to change and transform into something better now. That is that people should be the ones who dictating under really a true democracy of what they want to benefit their minds. And if people don't do that, then we'll always live in depressed situations and conditions. So this is the understanding from an international level. When you look at another aspect of this depression from the aspect of bullying, from a cyber aspect of it, we have to look at, physically and emotionally, what does it have, what effect does it have that this bullying have upon us? Emotionally. What does it undermine? What does it take? It undermines us. It undermines our privilege, our thinking, our ability. So a child, just imagine a child emotionally being affected and physically being affected is like terrorizing you. Every day somebody, you're going to school and somebody taking your food and somebody taking your money. One day that effect of that depression and anxiety could lead you, see, tomorrow I tell myself, you're not going to get my money again. And you're going to get my lunch again. And he hires somebody on the outside and bring him in school and fix him up. Or he walk with a weapon in his bag and say, today is the last day for you. But how long it take? It probably take a whole term or a year of what? being bullied and depressed and nobody not dealing with my situation, I will deal with my own situation my own way. And that leads this young man who is depressed and in a state of anxiety to take an effect and a change that is most dangerous to his own life. So he's going to risk his life to destroy this other person who is bullying him. You understand how dangerous this is? So this happens on the internet less like this. So it affects this person emotionally and physically, stress this individual into thinking how to deal with this problem. How to deal with this problem. And that effect translates itself into an action that may not be with reasoning that is of benefit to this individual. Understand? Reasoning without benefit to this individual. They don't stop to think what you are doing. And some people bully people out of joke. You know, bully out of joke. So you telling this man this thing every day. You feel you gain what? Fun out of this. But for this individual, that is what? Not fun. So every day you passing and hitting him one clout. What is that doing to him? He making you feel like I's boss and everybody laughing and everything going good. But for this individual, he say tomorrow will be the last clout for me. You understand? Something could happen. He could just pass with a cutlass, chop off the man and say, you can't clout me again. Because he no longer could take it. And in cyberbullying, it's the same emotional effects that it have. The question is, are we educating our children on this aspect of bullying? One is school and physical environment and the physical person. But one is the internet that actually has physical people who actually bully other people in many different ways, but and causing depression, causing anxiety, causing people to make such, decisions that might not be the accurate decision to make because you're being terrorized, pushed in a corner, you're being put in a condition where you have to be undermined from your natural being. What do you do? The question is, what should we do? And one of the important aspects of this is that we should understand what the Quran tells us in relationship to those type of situations. Because these things is not something new to the world. It's not something new to the world. This was something we call in the Quran dhulm, oppression. You oppress people. You commit acts of aggression against people. And when you oppress people because you feel you could do something to them and you make them feel intimidated and bad, that is oppression. And the Quran tells us Allah does not la yuhibbul dhalimun, dhalimin or dhalimun. Allah does not like the dhalim, the oppressor. And those who like to create fitna, mischief, fasad. There are people like that who like to make mischief. The job is to what? Stress you out. That is what they feel happy in doing. They like to do wickedness, fasad. Quran tells us about that about people all those years. Today they just bring the technology and using the technology to do what? Dhulm and fasad. So they're using the medium of the internet through cyberbullying to do their wickedness. Commit dhulm and commit fasad. That is amongst the things that tantamount to what? The great danger that we have. The Quran tells us, وَابْتَغِي فِي مَا أَتَكَ اللَّهُ دَارَ الْآخِرَةِ وَلَا تَنْسَ نَصِيبُكَ فِي الدُّنْيَا وَأَحْسِنْ كَمَا أَحْسَنَ اللَّهُ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and seek from the bounties of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has provided for you in this world and in the hereafter. For the hereafter. And do not forget your portion in this life, in the dunya. And do good, kama ahsan Allahu. And do good as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have done good for you. Appreciate the fact that you have life. And then he says, in relationship to that, he says, Inna Allah la yuhibbul mufsid. Allah does not like those who like to make mischief. So we have to teach our young boys and girls that there are people out there, and not to be suspicious of people, but be conscious of the fact that there are people who are going to send you messages of hate, messages of on your phone that you may not really may put you in a depressed state, that may be threatening to you, but may want to threaten you against your family. But the question and the position that we have to bring to the table with our children and our youths is that no matter what people say to you, rest assured, whatever threat you get, you could come to me. Yes, I might tell you not to be on the internet, I might tell you not to do so and so and so, and I will take away this and take away that from you. But at the end of the day, I am your mother and I'm your father, and I am the one who will protect you. Don't let nobody on the outside tell you something and you feel intimidated to come and tell me. Anybody threaten you? Come and tell me. I will deal with it. And I had personal situations like that myself to deal with my own family members, and I didn't just take it easy. I went into the school immediately and made a fuss about it, that the entire school knew I was there to deal with that. Because I'm not taking it lightly. It must be understood and heard by the schools so that they will think of it as being serious. As being serious about it. So, the end of the matter is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to contribute to the benefit of our children, Let them understand that they have to be good. But to be good, let not anyone on the outside, even if you're interacting with whoever you interact with, I'm telling you today, people today take up your phone. They could give your number to somebody else. They could give your email to somebody else. They could give your interaction of your WhatsApp page and your Instagram to somebody else. And the somebody else to give it to somebody else who have an ill intention against you. Their life is to be sicko, like to commit wrong and aggression against people. So the wrong person gets your number by not you giving them it. Somebody else give your number outside there. At the end of it, it ends up reaching you. How do you deal with it? And that is important in relationship to cyberbullying, that we do not allow this to come within us and our children, and let our children be aware that they should not live in depression and in fear of people and in anxiety that you see this number, and as you see the number, you see a child run in the room. Now, it could be two reasons why they run in the number that call them, or the thing. Probably somebody they like, or some kind of different story, or it could be somebody actually sending a threat, or it could be some other thing. So we have to know. We have to know and figure it out and understand how to deal with it, and make sure that our children are comfortable enough to come to us to address such a situation. At least such a situation exists and we do nothing about it. So, one, we must rethink and understand carefully that those who are perpetrating such a crime amongst us in our society, from wherever they might be, they are sending it through the internet, and they're sending it through their phones or their medium, and it has a way of catching on to them. So either we report it to the police, we report it to our parents, and we start to deal with the issue. Because this is something that Islam, sometimes you might say, well, what kind of Islam is, what are you talking about this in an Islamic class? Why talk about this? Because this is real depression, and Islam teaches us that we have to handle these things. We have to be comfortable. We have to be able to approach one another as Muslims. We have to help one another in the times of stress and difficulty. What are we to do? Leave our own brothers and sisters and fathers, our own children, to remain in depression and difficulty and challenges? No. We have to change that. We have to make the necessary change in bringing that aspect of bullying out of the lives of our children. And so we understand that is our work when it comes to that. Now let's look at the other aspect we are speaking about here. That is very important. More than sleep, more than the time, sleep, the scientists believe that sleep deprivation has that deleterious effect on mental concentration, memory, mood, and quality of life. In addition, recent data indicates that sleep deprivation impairs and incorrect the metabolic function of your actual condition of your mind and your physical body. Sleep. If you don't sleep, you have a problem with your mind. You get up in the morning and you feel you're shaking. You can't walk because you're asleep for the night. You're on the bed whole night. Doing what? On the phone. Our young boys and girls, the problem that we have with them, they can't sleep in the night. And when they wake up in the morning, they wake up to go to school, and they're in the vehicle going to school, they're snoring in the vehicle going to school. They can't tell you which side of the road they went to which school? Huh? Which school? They're not waking up. Because whole night they're like zombie on the phone, you say? You say zombie, it's a zombie. That the phone ain't giving them a chance to rest. The phone is as though it is like a devil in the night.
It's only waking them. Long time we say what? Make dua and spit on the side. Now the phone like a devil. You can't impel the phone or spit on the phone. It's so sad. You know, you have to go and teach our children, you know, this is the Darul shaitan, eh? You must spit on it for you, throw it one side because it's unbugging your sleep, as you would say in common layman terms. But really disruptive to your sleep. It's affecting your mental condition, and sleep is a nafa and a benefit to the ummah. Never think of sleep as something as being not beneficial to us. Sleep is absolutely important for our well-being. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran, وَجَعَلْنَا النَّوْمَكُمْ سُبَاتًا وَجَعَلْنَا اللَّيْلَ لِبَاسًا. Right? Allah made the night for a purpose. That is to rest, and to function, and to work, and to work in the condition of what is required from us. You work in the day, you rest in the night. But today the environment is that people working day and night, and more so what children studying in the day and think they're studying in the night. They're just wasting time. They're wasting time on the phone. The shaitan on the phone have them so busy that it deprives them of sleep. So they're spending day and night playing games on Facebook, on Instagram, and right where the cyberbullying in the same environment now, sleep deprivation deprives them and also put them in a state of depression. Sometimes you're talking to them when they wake up in the morning, and I say wake, they're probably waking the whole night anyway. But what? They're still shaking their head because they can't hear what they say up to now because they're sleeping away. Some of them eating and the spoon falling out of their hand. And they're putting the food somewhere else because what? They can't concentrate. And if they leave home like this in the morning to go to school, what you expect them to be doing in school? Sleep. So they turn the whole ayat around, the whole verse around. The day is to work and the night is to sleep. And they turn the whole thing around. They're waking the whole night, wasting time, telling the parents they're all studying. My son studying whole night. The phone. Whole night he's studying the phone. But the effects of it we have not seen. So the Prophet ﷺ, he tells us that if any one of you feels drowsy while praying, he should go to bed, sleep till his slumber is over. Hadith found in Sahih Bukhari. Take rest. Sleeping is a great benefit to the mind, the body, and it nourishes and re-energizes us. Allah made night for the body to rest. Our children feel that they are young and they can take this on, but they are not the same type of structure that we had many years ago. The fact is that not only your body is not resting, your mind is not resting. What do you think you're doing while you're watching the screen whole night? What is affected? Your eyes is affected, your ears is affected, your mind is affected, your feeling is affected, your emotion is affected. All of these things are being utilized for a long time. In other words, if they could have concentrated in the day in class as they concentrate on their medium of media on the night, be it the phone, the TV, the game or whatever, as they would concentrate on that during the night, if they would concentrate on the class like that during the day, we'd have so many educated children in the world today. Really know their work and so much inclined into studies. But most of that time has been engineered into game and wasting time. And that affects the mind. We think that they're waking up tired, their mind tired in the morning. You know, and what are we expecting out of this? So the Prophet ﷺ says, even when the night comes, you should sleep. Take rest. You need some rest. Even doctors will tell you how many hours of rest you would need at certain age in your life. And a baby will normally sleep a few hours or long hours. They sleep in day and night. They wake up for a few hours and they sleep in for a long while because they need more rest. When a person gets older, they need more rest. A person between a particular age needs a particular amount of rest. Why? The body asks for that and needs that rest. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us like that and He created the environment for it. Why do we change it? What are we going to cause to ourselves? Depression, anxiety, and all the things that leads with it. So once the Prophet ﷺ had entered the mosque and saw a rope hanging between two pillars, he said to the people, this rope is for Zainab, who when she feels tired, holds on to keep standing. What is this rope? And for prayer, the Prophet ﷺ said, don't use it. Remove the rope. You should pray as long as you feel active. And when you get tired, sleep. Sleep. Because sleeping is part of our everyday beneficial to our health and our mental health. So, in conclusion, it says, in another hadith narrated by Aisha radiallahu ta'ala tells that a woman from the tribe of Bani Asad, who was sitting with Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha when Allah's Apostle, peace be upon him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, came to my house and said, who is this? And Aisha radiallahu ta'ala replied, she is so and she does not sleep at night because she is engaged in praying. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam disapprovingly said, do good deeds which are within your capacity, as Allah never gets tired of giving reward till you get tired of doing good deeds. So don't think that you can't rest. You need to rest. The Prophet ﷺ, he gives us indication that our body needs to rest. And this is one of the challenges that we face with our youths today. Can we, in any way try to give our children that type of understanding that, you could go off on this particular thing. It's like a drug. The phone and the media and the games are like a drugs. And you could tell yourself that to play these games doesn't cost $100. You have to buy a $4,000 or $5,000 gadget. To play these things on PS4 and 5 and 6 and whatever, you have to buy to play it. And then you have to have a big screen to play it, and you have to buy all kinds of different gadgets for that, and you have to have a nice cool room for it to play it. So all these things cost tens and fifteen of thousands of dollars. We buy all of these things, occupying the minds of our children, and we give them a phone for a $4,000, $5,000 phone that occupies their time, and after 10, 15 years, we have to carry them to the doctor to deal with their eyes. We spend our next set of money to fix their eyes, and we have to carry them to the next institution to deal with their brains and to deal with the psychology. And then after that, they can't continue on their studies and line and path of studies because they have failed in their examinations. All from what we have done to our children, only because they want this. What is depression to our youths and challenges today? Youths today face this challenge that at any point in time we continue to lose sleep out of games and an environment like this and deprive ourselves of this. Definitely we are going to find ourselves in a big challenge, a very big challenge in the future if we continue to allow things to go the way they are going with our kids. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through His infinite mercy make it easy for us that we truly understand the seriousness of the depression that is happening in our society amongst our youths and ourselves today in our communities can be realized from these few pointers that we have raised here this evening. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for us, inshallah. Dua. اللهم آمين اللهم أنت السلام ومنك السلام تباركت يا ذا الجلال والإكرام اللهم صل على سيدنا وشفيعنا وحبيبنا مولانا محمد وبارك وسلم فسبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين برحمتك يا الراحمين.
إني ألقى الإناس في صومي وصلاتي ودعائي للرحمن وجميع الطاعات